This Whitney Tippett.
I'm talking to a woman that I think so much of. We're so fortunate to have her in our studio today, the star of stage and screen and a true modern-day philosopher. It's a pleasure to welcome Pearl Bailey. How are you, Pearl?
Good,
Good
but
to see you.
we're a little cooler now.
Oh,
The day
boy.
we talked, it was burning up out there.
110, I think, in the shade. You know, you've done so much. I mean, let me go ahead and list it. Obviously, your music, theater, film, an author of 5 books, 1 on the way, a diplomat, an ambassador, of course, a wife and a mother. I mean, if someone was going to remember Pearl Bailey without the long sentence, schoolgirl.
Georgetown.
Georgetown.
Oh, be careful.
How many years? Just a few years ago, right?
85, Pat Ewan graduated me. He got the money and the, you know, and all the best and everything, and but he got a little lower mark. I got the big mark, and I'm going to get that bread he's getting soon.
Why go back to Georgetown for a degree?
I didn't go back. I'd never been.
Well, why go later in life? Talk about the value of education no matter when it is.
I got an honorary degree then and went up to make my little thank you and said I may be back. I happened to see the school when I was about 3 years old, being in Washington. And I went in as a freshman and went all the way through, working and everything with all the books. And I went through, came out with a 3.424. I got to remember that number. That'll be the lottery. And oh Lord, they'll be swamped today.
That's right. That's
no, it wasn't. It was my mark. Two Dean's Lists and the Dean's Award.
But
I graduated.
What do you gain when you go back for an education, no matter how old you are?
You gain something that I'm doing a new book on. It's called From Me to You, and it's really a trilogy. It's in 3 parts, and the first is Go For It, Honey. Somehow people kept writing to me, am I too old, am I too this, am I too that to make it? No. And then invariably when I'd answer with all these books in my hand, I'd say, also go for it, honey. You should. If you can't make a big college, go to even a community college. I think they are fascinating, first of all, because you get all, the children should be more subject to them. Number one, it's reasonable. And number 1.5 is you've got all age groups. To, you know, I didn't mean to put you in there, but an 18-year-old, I pointed to you.
Thank you.
Going to school with a girl like me, 31. Yeah. Well, you see, when we break for our little lunch or something, you have something different for me to talk about.
Isn't that
and
great?
That's where community colleges come in.
Yeah.
The husband and wife that never have, you know, you go home, suddenly he's dull and you're dull too. Go on out and go to a community college at night. Maybe you'll take one subject, you come home, maybe you can communicate.
You're right.
Which leads to the fact you are never too old to learn.
You and Louis Bellson have been married for how many
36.
years? 36 years. You know, there's something about you that softens the world when you're in their presence. I think people get very soft around Pearl Bailey. But it wasn't always easy for you. You marry a white man in this world.
No, I just married a man.
You married a man, but what about the way the world looked at it?
We never looked at that. I'm like my husband says, everybody should have polka dot eyes, and we look. 2 people met, fell in love, and in 4 days, and we got married.
And
we've been married 36 years. I think that people are too, in fact, I'll say something I always say, because I never even get on the subject matter, Louis either, because I never even thought about it, but I have to laugh. See, Louis and I married when it wasn't fashionable, and we never thought about whether it was fashionable. Well, see, people are doing the same thing. They shacked up. They didn't have the courage to say, I love you.
You and I talked, when we talked, I think it was 9 years ago, we talked about the experience that you had in Washington, D.C., and you used your hands to explain people trying to crawl out of the oppression of being homeless and on drugs. And you know, isn't it sad that here we are, we're still here with those issues?
They're worse.
They are worse.
Worse than ever. In this new book, it'll be out in the fall, and I'm doing it for Doubleday. The other books I do, but Doubleday. And there's a line in there, and I hope people take it into their heart. I am so tired in America of seeing human beings in that fetus position, lying on the cold streets, trying to get back into the womb to keep warm. That's how it strikes me. You come out this way, and to think that women and children and all, and there is no cardboard box against 20 degrees below. Why are they lying there? Because we allow them to start. It's like the homeless. When I walk up the street, all of us walk up the street and we say, you know, I'm sure most of us are guilty of it. I too have been. You're walking up the street and you see somebody, I think I'll give them a dime or quarter because, yeah, but they're going to get a drink and no soup, so you don't do it. One day coming up the street, I thought, wait a minute. I don't give a darn what they do with it. I, in my heart, know it's right to give. Because while I'm walking up there judging that person, God is judging me. and this is it. You just hand it. There's another heavy line in there, and you've had it happen, all of us out there, and you say, some curse you, you bend over something, they may spit in your face, but I said, I'll learn to take that too. If they reach up, you know, and they do, some get angry, and they might spit in your face. I said, but we're late, because we've already spit in theirs.
You've performed at the White House more than anybody other than Bob Hope, so you've known quite a few of our presidents and administrations. What's your feeling on the ability of government in our day and age to make change?
I think we better do some changing too. It's just what you were talking about, the homeless, the aged. Used to be so beautiful to have, you know, with gray hair. Abraham, listen, he had a baby of promise, him and Sarah at 99. Now gray hair means no job. Your hair get 1 tint, you got to change it or you're off television.
You've got that right.
And it used to be a badge.
That right. The bottle may be my best friend here.
That's right.
The bottle
you know, that was the badge of honor, wasn't it, when you were growing up?
Well, look at Barbara Bush. She's going to change some of that, isn't she?
But well, I wouldn't matter, because I think the gray hair is a badge of honor.
It sure ought to be.
It was a badge of wisdom. That's what you were raised and taught by your mother, to respect the lady next with the gray hair. Now at 40, we have the nerve to tell people they have no intelligence to work in jobs like yours or stores or restaurants. My Lord, I wish they did have.
But that's going to change. As a whole group of people get old together, that'll change.
Oh, I don't know. Well, we have one thing. We have more of the older ones now than the younger ones. And people said, oh, you have full employment now. They're all working. Why? All of a sudden now you can go in these fast food places and you got an older person waiting, because the younger ones don't want that salary. Well, I'd say take it.
Yeah.
Take it and run, honey.
Yeah. How are your kids? You've got two wonderful
Fine.
children.
They could do better. I hope they've learned some of the things that we've taught them.
Are you a taskmaster as a mother?
I guess I was stronger. Louis is gentler, smiling, but inwardly firm. I wish he had stepped forward more when I really looked like the tyrant. But I must be totally honest. It's the only way I know how to be. What a pity, mine included. Why do they get in the fast lane? I was just talking about this to Darcy backstage. You get in it says 65. Nobody wants to go 65 because the guy back of you is doing 70. You move to the middle lane, you're going to do your 55. The trouble with the young now is if something happens, they get into that fast lane and they get run over. You and I could make that fast lane because we had so long started with a slow pace.
Yeah.
We knew how to pick up.
Build up to it, huh?
It's out here, the drugs, the crack, the smack, the cocaine, it is a disease. It swallows, and the AIDS, I had an experience there too. In fact, you had a princess come through here the other day that was in Geneva with me.
And she was also visited AIDS patients in a hospital.
Well, we were there together, December 1st. No, in Switzerland.
Yeah.
We opened the World Health Organization.
That's Diana. But what was your experience with AIDS?
No, not Princess Diana. The one from Thailand.
Oh.
Came to Providence the other day. She's still here till today. My experience with AIDS, I went from the UN for the Dr. Nakajima to open World Health Organization Day, December 1st. And it's amazing. So far, they don't have a cure. I sat next to in Georgetown, and this boy graduated before me by 27. His name was in the Paris thing, his fashion, everything. He turned 30 about last week. Tomorrow he's going to go and see a festival in Australia. He looks like Tyrone Powers, but he's had AIDS 2 years, and this brilliant boy. And I went, and one day I wrote a speech, which actually ABC has been doing some tapes on, and he said to me, I said, Jim, I'm going over, and I've written this thing, and Senator Dodd, thank God, came into the UN and was doing something the day he was leaving. They have to serve some. He went down to, I'm leaving, Pearl. I said, I'll show you my speech. I was leaving the next day. He said, I'm reading this. Can you do me a favor? Would you let me read it in the congressional records? It's in it. But this, I'll say, because I know we got to get off. Jim said to me, I'm Pearl, and he had graduated before me, law student, big designer, everything the world had to offer. He said, I'm going to ask you something, but you don't have to answer me, but I want to say this since you are my inside to talk about this. What did you feel like? And don't answer if you don't want to. He said, I'm Pearl. He was in California, and I was talking on the phone. When I first heard it, I cried. The second thing I did, I talked to the priest. And he said, and then he laughed a little. He said, and then I started to sell everything I owned. And I said, you did? He said, and then he laughed harder. He said, because I started to realize that I was going to die. And that fast, he laughed harder. He said, one night I looked around, I had sold my bed. Oh. And I wrote a line behind that when I wrote the thing. I said, to think, how dare disease insult us so.
This is a lady, as you can see, who has no problem with letting us know how she